Hello and welcome to another edition of Unclecthulu Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing a chapter pack from the Game of Thrones Living card game. So the card game, every month a chapter pack comes out. There's 20 individual cards. You get 3 copies of each one in the pack. There's a lot of reviews out there for cards, and a lot of those will talk about how good they are in the game and follow with that. I've got big interest in the game, and actually I'm alright at the game, but I have a real love of the books and the settings of Westeros. Now, if you watch the TV show, you don't get a lot of the detail and intricacies that exist in the books, and because the card game is based on the books, you may miss out on some of those. So I'm going to review the cards. I do relatively short videos, so I'm not going to dwell too long on each one of the cards, and talk about some of the background there that comes out of the books with each one. So I'm going to start off with the House Umber Loyalist, or the Umber Loyalist. So as you see there, he's actually got a decent set of stats on him. Now, in this part of the book, the Umbers, we don't know how loyal they are to the original Starks. Certainly, Roose Bolton is the Warden of the North. There's a lot of intrigue between the northern houses. The people who are left in charge of the Umbers in the north seem to be on Roose's side. Certainly the Great John is captured by the Freys, I believe. He might be in King's Landing. So yeah, so House Umber Loyalist, which is coming into play, draw 2 cards, card draw superb, and when he leaves play, choose and discard 2 cards from your hand. It's not going to slow you down. You're going to get a decent body, you get a decent effect. I really like the House Umber Loyalist. I'll certainly be throwing some of those in my deck. And to point out, the sigil of House Umber is a giant in chains. So as you see on the shield there, the trooper in the picture, the soldier in the picture, has got the giant on the shield. So that's a House Umber Loyalist. I really like that card. Next up's White Harbour. So White Harbour is the nearest thing that there is to a big city in the north, and it's held by House Mandalay. And House Mandalay are loyalists to the Starks. Wyman Mandalay is one of my favourite characters out the books. And yeah, it's card draw, it's conditional card draw. It's not as good as, say, Dawn at 4 costs. But actually, will it see much play? I'm not sure it will. Mid-game, your opponent's probably just going to throw your economy that you need and put the stuff you want on the bottom of your deck. Use this a lot, you could end up with a lot of good cards on the bottom of your deck. So yeah, I'm not sure how much I like that, which is a pity because I really like House Mandalay as a theme in the books. Next one is a character I've not come across before. I believe he's probably just been invented for the game. Lazy Leo, not a particularly great body for the cost, ultimately looking at about 4 gold to bring him out of Shadows. After he comes out of Shadows, choose a player, any number of events when that player's discard into his or her deck. He's been brought out to probably try and neuter the event heavy decks, or to put your events back into your deck. Yeah, he's probably got a couple of uses, but he hasn't got a good enough body to really justify it in most decks. Now the next Tyrell card I really like. Can't really see a downside to this. I certainly would like to throw it into a few decks and see what happens. It's an event, you're getting cards. It looks like it's probably Randall Tarley in the picture, and maybe Mace Tyrell. So yeah, go on ambition, go grab some cards, see your discard pile what you want. That's an interesting one. So he's a naive scout, but he's so naive he's actually 4 strength intrigue. So he's one of the, almost a contradiction in text and stats. 4 intrigue, you're kind of a player with intrigue there. If this card in Shadows can't be declared as a defender, I think there is a sort of a rangery deck where you're attacking, but yeah, that's the Naive Scout. Now the next card for the Night's Watch is really interesting. So the Night's Watch is all about the people at the wall. Certainly they don't gain their resources from lands, titles and small folks. So this is an attachment. It's going to go into a character and it's going to be providing you with gold. It's non-limited, so this is perhaps the Night's Watch non-limited card, since most of the houses seem to be getting non-limited economy in the deck. You could actually end up with a setup of 3 of these on a, I think a Winterfell Steward at the wall for a ton of economy. Bit of a strength boost as well. Yeah, it's not an exciting card. It's economy, it's non-limited. I'm not sure it does enough beyond the non-limited economy to justify a spot in the deck. Certainly I've never felt with my Night's Watch that I've struggled for economy. But that's a minus pick. But like I say, a really interesting design idea with the strength and the economic power of the Night's Watch coming from the people. Now the next one, Baratheon, the Valerian's crew, smugglers. So smugglers, as you'd expect, is going to have a bit of stealth going on in the deck. And it's actually got quite an interesting one where you can win a challenge and take opponents' resources. Cards are a type of resource. Put it under the Valerian's crew and they'll be able to use it as if it was in your hand. So yeah, it's really interesting. At the very least, it's a pillage effect because those cards are going to gain attachment whilst they're in underneath the crew. It's quite a meaty crew, 5 strength. It's probably going to be winning challenges with stealth. I have a feeling it'll work better with a Baratheon Greyjoy deck. It's certainly not loyal to the Baratheons. Yeah, see, I really like decks like this. I've just been running a Night's Watch Steel Stuff deck. You can't always be 100% sure what you're going to get, but quite like that. I quite like the challenge of thinking on my feet with what I've got and making it work for us. So yeah, so it probably does push me a bit closer to wanting to run the Greyjoy Baratheon kind of deck, which is slowly been building itself together. Next card, Blackwater Bay. Baratheon stronghold, well, not stronghold, seas surrounding Baratheon strongholds. It's superb. Baratheon can build a very effective kneel deck. This means you're going to draw cards for each kneeling character that player controls, opponent. Yeah, it's going to do what it says on the tin. It's going to get you lots of cards. It's probably the best card draw that the Baratheons have got. Maybe's the Red Keep. But yeah, if I'm going to build a Baratheon deck with any sort of kneel in it, I'm definitely going to throw in a couple of those. Next card, Lannister card. Lannister card. It's cat's paw, so it's not a character. It's not one of the big impressive things from Westeros. Comes out of play, bounces somebody back to shadows. It's actually quite expensive for what it does. Coming out of shadows costs 2. Yeah, this card probably works with some Lannister stuff, but it's not really doing much for me. And then we get the Lannister non-limited location. Lannisters, it's a gold mine. And this is, I think this is a really good non-limited location, giving you a gold, but it's also giving you the ability to discard cards, to draw cards. Having recently played some draft, I found that a really strong ability. And yeah, you can have up to these 3. You can really filter your deck, get the cards you want. Actually, as we know, with Fleabottom floating around, discarding a card isn't always a cost. And there's other ways to bounce those cards back into your deck. Yep, I think that's a very solid Lannister card. It might not be the most exciting, snazzy effects, but it's good. Drown God Fanatic. Now, one of my other favourite decks I have is a Drown God deck, and this is great. It gives you military and intrigue icons, something the Drown Gods don't always have in abundance. They tend to have a lot of power. Kill a character to put Drown God Fanatic into play from your dead pile. Drown God and have a lot of effects which either do stuff for you while they're in the dead pile, such as Naga's Ribs, or do stuff as you go into the dead pile, so the dead pile becomes another place to keep characters and bounce them around. And actually, not only that, but it's a character with some with some character ability negation. So you can go straight to the dead pile to cancel character ability. I really like this card, really like the artwork on it as well. The Drowned God men always get drowned as that's their initiation into the sort of priesthood, if you will. So yeah, and this is a melee champion deck, Vincent. So yeah, really like that card. Not as much as I really like the next one in terms of setting. So it's Dragonbinder. So this is a horn that Euron Crowseye has brought back from his occult travels around the world. Attached character is going to gain Intimidate. When it's blown, it burns the chest of the wielder, and it's said to be able to bind dragons, and in this case it also brings Greyjoy characters into play. Certainly in the books this is used at the King's Moot, which is one of my favourite chapters in the books. And it's non-terminal, so it's rinse and repeat, especially if you've got something like a Drowned God deck where you can bring those characters back out the dead pile to put characters in. Yeah, I think it's... As somebody who likes a background to the game, the card probably appeals to me more than it is effective, but I'm certainly going to be doing something with my Greyjoy deck very soon with it. Hide Assassin, Targaryen card, shadow card. It runs interference on opponent's shadows. Certainly the Targ seem to be getting a lion's share of shadow stuff at the moment. Yeah, it's a card, it does what it says on the tin. It's not going to set my world alight. Next card, Queen's Guard. Again, it's Targ does stand really well. Actually ran a Targ Greyjoy stand deck at the Scottish Road to Stalac event last year. Did alright. Discarding a card in Targ isn't really a cost. Sometimes that even just puts a card into play. Yeah, I don't think I need to say too much about that. Now, one of my favourite characters from the books, the big man, Sir Archibald Ironwood. And yeah, it's quite an interesting wee ability there. I'm losing dominance and the winning opponents killing characters they have. Martell have a really good attritional style of play that helps build with that. If you're going to be stopping your opponent doing challenges, they're probably going to be winning dominance, so it's punishing them for that. And like I say, the big man, he's one of the guys that go off with Quentin Martell when he goes to try and marry the Dragon Queen herself, Daenerys. And Summersea Port, Dornish non-limited economy. Martell decks want reserve, they want gold, non-limited. Yep, does what it says on the tin. It's a really strong card for Martell. This next card here, quite an interesting card. It's a very weak army. No attachments. After you win a challenge in which poor fellow is attacking, the losing opponent chooses either poor fellow gains power or draw a card. So obviously this is a support card. And yeah, it represents those people rampaging through King's Landing. One of Cersei's big mistakes was arming the Faith Militant, the High Sparrow's ragged army. Yeah, does it do much for Faith Militant, perhaps. This is never going to be winning that many challenges on its own. But yeah, with 2 icons gives it options. So early game, your opponent might not be able to block, defend everything they want to. So that's could certainly help you out there. King's Landing. This is the reason why I've got my King's Landing playing mat out underneath here. Once per marshalling phase, you can discard, you can marshal locations from your discard pile as if they were in your hand. There's so many good locations this works with that it's a superb card. You're looking at Martell's Gas and Grey, you're looking at Sea Bitch and Iron Mines for Greyjoy. Yeah, I think at 4 costs as well, it saves it from frozen solids. I don't quite know how it's meant to be working with King's Landing. Maybe it's like the Nobles of King's Landing buying and selling locations. But in terms of a card, I really like it. And certainly I do like to run Sea Bitch and Iron Mines in Greyjoy. And I've been wanting to do a Gaston Grey style deck for the Martell as well. And it might also mean that there's a bit more of a place to bring back the King's Roads. And it's also going to stop you having locations in your discard pile for the Euron to steal. Glass Candle goes in pillage decks, green site decks. It's great. When I first read this, I thought it was Maester characters only, but it's any character. It's looking at top deck of a card, discarding that, and if it's a Maester that's got it, it's insight as well. The character doesn't even need to be kneeling to have the effect. So it's in the books, it's an obsidian glass candle, I think they have, and the Maesters have it, and it comes back alight when magics come back in the world. So yeah, you're going to see tons of this in pillage decks. Lannister deck pillage might become a thing. Certainly Greyjoy is going to be wanting to leverage this. And finally, the agenda. So it's an agenda that's going to give you, if you're losing, potentially it's going to just hold you in the game a wee bit longer. An easy truce. It's going to punish people for making challenges. If you're on 14 power, you could throw that out and force your opponent not to do any challenges. I think it's a decent card. I'm not sure if I'd use it much. The artwork there is the wildlings. After Stannis' army smashes them, they all come through the gates and have an uneasy truce with the Night's Watch and end up joining forces and replenishing the Night's Watch armies. So that's what that represents. In itself, that creates a whole load of schisms within the Night's Watch. The people who have hated the wildlings for years. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on the cards. A quick run through on them. Like I say, there's so many other good reviews for the technical details and ins and outs of the cards. I am only one person, so there's only so much I can do and think about with the cards. But I'll leave you looking at the glorious King's Landing playmat there. There are better looking playmats in terms of arts and pictures, but I really like this when I saw it because I thought, yeah, this is looking so unique. I've not seen anything like it. So anyway, this has been another Unclecthulu reviews video. It's my first one, card games. I will do a few more for card games, although rest assured that I think 80% of my videos will be about wargaming. But thank you for listening. If you've got any thoughts on the cards, or if I've got anything you'd like to discuss with me, or you think I could be doing any other reviews for you, just let me know. The conversation's always happening on Facebook, Unclecthulu Reviews. So thank you, have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you again.